What is good, my ghouls and goblins? Welcome back to Really Scared, your weekly horror movie podcast. I am Dr. Satela, and I am joined, as always, by the top guy. What's to my right, Mr. Connor Breedlove. How you doing, brother?
Doing pretty fine this evening.
Doing fine. You got a hefty glass of something red there in your hand. You've getting loosened up?
A little bit. It's one of those days, you know.
Just one of those days where you gonna chainsaw? Something like that?
Yeah, I was thinking about skinning someone's ass raw, but we'll see how the night goes.
We'll see. We got a good show ahead of us. Me, myself, and the Halloween mug, just some more peppermint tea. You already see the blue light glasses on, so you know your man has been in pain today. But last time we worked through the pain and we had ourselves quite a nice little episode. So I'm excited for tonight. Excited to continue the Reeloween celebration. Suge Knight in the chat. He knows, just one of those days. Great to see you, buddy. You got people shouting out Moose in the chat before the show even started. Love to see that. Got a bunch of great guests coming on tonight. And we're continuing Reeloween 2, our annual spooky time celebration. All month we've been talking about films from the Halloween franchise. And tonight is no different, as we will be talking about Halloween 2018, David Gordon Green's sequel, reboot, sidequel, whatever the shit you call these movies these days. His new continuity establishing sequel to John Carpenter's classic original. And I love you too, Suge. It's great to see you. I always have to commend you for joining us for these because I know, as you confessed to me face to face, that you were very scared of Michael Myers. And there's like no irony or joke in that at all. You were actually very scared of him. So I commend you for always coming by at least to say hello. It's great to see you, my friend. I'm excited. I love the movie that we're talking about tonight. We've talked about Michael Myers so much this month, so much Halloween. And this is one of my favorite installments in the Halloween series. So I'm very excited to talk about this one. Very excited for the guest that we have on tonight. It's going to be a fun one. Before we get started, first of all, I should say, I forgot how to podcast. I always forget how to plug stuff at the top of the show. You notice that we haven't done any of that stuff since we come back. is that popped out to it all?
We had to put the training wheels back on after being gone for a few months. So it's,
apparently so.
It's going to get better. It'll get better.
One would hope. I never mentioned the Streamlabs anymore. We got it down there. I guess it's always omnipresent, right? So you don't really have to announce it. I was just going to try to sign into Streamlabs, and it says I got to do two-step verification. So forget it. I'm not even going to try. But if you send in a Streamlab, we appreciate it. It supports the channel. And you don't have to. You can throw it in the chat. Free of charge, and we're still going to say what's up. We'll pop you on the screen and holler at you. But if you throw us a Streamlab, we greatly appreciate it. Keeps the lights on, keeps the StreamYard running, and we appreciate your contribution and your support always. Of course, if you're missing us live, if you can't watch the whole show, this episode will live on YouTube. But we are live on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and Twitter. Audio goes up on the Apple Podcast app and Spotify, as well as SoundCloud the very next day, sometimes in the same night. And we appreciate everybody who watches and listens, no matter when or how you do it. We appreciate your support. We've also got to shout out our boy, Nick Malbach. Our great friend and co-founder of the channel, Nick Malbach, is holding a little event of his own tomorrow. A Shattered Diamond, as you may know, is the feature film Nick directed. And they'll be holding a charity live stream over at watchbeam.com, watchbeam.com. They'll be raising money for the COPE Foundation, which directly supports people and families who have lost loved ones and are dealing with grief, depression, and just gives them a support system. Tickets are $4.99. There'll be a link in the chat. There'll be a link in the description when this recording goes up. Again, that is watchbeam.com, watchbeam.com. Shattered Diamond charity live stream event. So go support our lovely friend. Go support our lovely cause. You love to see it. Just great stuff all around. We got a great episode for you tonight. Really Scared, Halloween 2018. We got two great guests joining us, two great friends coming on the show tonight. First is no stranger to anybody who watches Who Are They? Real Entertainment. We mentioned Nick Bolbach as a co-founder. That means there's another one, and we got him right here. The co-founder of What Real Entertainment, co-host of Spin from the Real, your friend and mine, the Master Matt Thomas.
I wasn't expecting to be brought on so early because normally it takes you like 10 minutes to get somebody on.
No, no time to waste when we have guests of this caliber, of this acclaim. No time to waste. Also, we talked about a lot of Halloween this month, and I think we're like running out of silly intros, so we just got to get straight to the point sometimes. I think we're feeling that a little bit. So it's like, why we've run out of rapport. We're just gonna get right into the movies and talk about them, right? That's what we're here to do. No reason to waste time or beat around the bush, unless you want me to like ask you what you've been watching lately. We used to do that all the time. Watch anything good, Matt? What's going on? What are you doing? What are you up to? What's good in your life?
I mean, I saw Last Night in Soho, which you can check out the review for on the channel right now.
I didn't mean to cue up a plug, but well played. Well played. Last Night in Soho, and I am very excited to see that movie. Everyone I know that's been fortunate enough to see it is just giving it the top marks.
Going again tomorrow. I'm so hyped.
Again, and it's got to be said. I mean, we're having you on the horror show here, and this is what, at least the second or third or fourth. I mean, counting Lovecraft Country and everything, you've been on here quite a few times.
More than that, because I did a lot of behind the scenes popping in and out when we first started it.
As many times as you've been on this show, I think it wouldn't be unfair to still say you're not like a horror guy overwhelmingly so, but that movie played really well for you, right?
You guys have actually converted me.
We went to see Candyman together.
Yeah. Connor can tell you, I'm able to at least hold a good conversation in regards to horror now. So
okay, we did you right.
So the show's doing something for some people, apparently.
Yeah.
So.
We raised you well.
And then my DC fandom swag started to show up, so that's great.
Good to see you.
So.
We raised you well. Speaking of people who are inherently horror heads, we got another great guest tonight. I'm so excited to have this man on. I put out the Reely Scared. You got the Batman shirt on. I put like the Reely Scared bat signal out high in the sky within Stock Exchange group chat. I said, "Who wants to talk about Halloween?" And hours passed. And this man was so kind. He said, "You know what, Taylor? I'll do it. I'll talk about Halloween. I'll come on your show." And he's just a great guy and a great friend. He is the Moose, Mark Haas. Yeah, he's got a sharpened blade.
Hey, thanks for having me on, fellas.
Thanks for coming on.
I appreciate it. It's been one of those days too, Connor, so I feel you, man. Cheers.
We are all on the wagon tonight. Great to have you on, buddy. Thanks for joining us. And, we're going to kind of jump into the movie here, but something I've been asking guests, episode to episode as we do this, and I'm especially interested to hear your answer because, as I understand it, like I said, you're not an overwhelming horror fan. Maybe something you've dabbled in before, but not necessarily your brand, so to speak. What is your experience with the Halloween films prior to that? Had you ever watched them prior to this?
So I know Michael Myers, I know Laurie Strode. This was my first adventure actually watching any of the Halloween movies. And
really?
Per your advice, I watched 1978's Halloween prior to watching this one because this one is a direct sequel and you skip all the other ones. And I've been watching your guys' other episodes, so I'm kind of keeping along with what's going on with the Halloween. Although the Season of the Witch one, apparently there's just a lot of titty sucking on that one. So
yes. A lot of boob sucking.
So this is my first introduction into the Halloween world. And I know of like the classic horror like icons, right? You got your Freddy Kruegers, you got your Michael Myers. And so I knew of the character and I knew kind of the story of this, unmovable, unstoppable, force. Yeah. But then actually seeing it and then especially this movie here, I have a whole new appreciation for it. So I'm interested to talk about it.
They did make it really convenient and easy for you that you didn't have to watch the other, 10 movies that fall out of continuity, which is to your benefit, I think. To really get into the muck of the Halloween franchise is a commitment, and you have to be willing to, you have to lower your quality bar here and there. But fortunately, I think we've got you in a nice string of films here where Hopefully, wasn't too much of an ask for you. I'd be curious to hear. Obviously, we're going to talk about 2018. How did the 78 film hold up for you? Did you think it was still effective? Had it aged kind of poorly?
So I had to kind of put myself in the time period because the first like 20 minutes you're like, all right, this fucking film is aged. But then I started looking at it from a different perspective and like, okay, like there's a reason why this particular character, one, is iconic, and two, has lasted 40 years in cinema. So I really kind of had to I had to start the movie over again, and I literally did. Started the movie over again, was like, all right, look at it from fresh eyes, look at it like this is, put aside all the weird, 2-minute into the movie titties shots, and just focus in on like the horror that is, Michael Myers and what he's doing to Haddonfield. So it held up.
That's good to hear. I saw Matt kind of like grimacing in the corner there. Are you in disagreement, Matt?
No, he actually is where exactly I was. I had not watched a single Halloween film until the 78 one the night before I saw 2018 a few years back. And I was like, I can see why people were scared by it back then, but this is it's not that great. Not that great. That was my opinion of it then. I actually, and I'll say it right now, this is my favorite Halloween film in the entire franchise. So
you would put this above.
This is the Halloween film for me.
That could be the hottest Halloween take we've served up all month.
I don't know. A lot of people put it as at least number 2. So
number 2, yes. Number 2 is not that hot of a take. Number 1, that's a
hot take.
That's big.
That's a scorching hot take.
Yeah.
So being a novice to the Halloween world, are most people's opinion that number 1 is the best?
Yes.
Yeah,
for sure. Okay.
I
mean, obviously it's got so much to do with its reputation and its legacy. Also outside, I would say probably of the film itself. Like I'm pretty sure like the original Halloween's in the damn Library of Congress. You know what I mean? Like so it's so significant in the canon of horror and movie making and independent film in general. But I would say, you just can't beat the classics sometimes. I know I'm getting old because I'm starting to say shit like that. You can't beat the classic. But I don't know. Well, we'll get into it, huh? Suge Knight, he's still in the chat. Suge Knight's still there. He's holding on.
Suge.
I guess as long as you don't pop up pictures of him, he'll be.
Wait. So remember how Jessica was asking what movie we should watch in California? I think we got to watch the 3 Halloween movies with Suge.
I can't understand the fear I saw in that man's eyes as he told me how much he does not like looking at Michael Myers. There was no humor in it. There was no irony. He was not doing a bit. That man is afraid of Michael Myers. I think it would ruin everybody's time. So he's going to be.
I recently learned that Suge lives like 20 minutes from where I do. So I should just show up and outside of his house with the Michael Myers mask.
Yes.
That man doesn't need that. That man doesn't need that.
No, Suge, I hope your luck's turned around, buddy.
He's congrats to him. He's already got a new job, so it's starting to turn around.
Yeah. Leave that man alone. Let's talk about 2018 here. Big movie. I can remember when this came out for me. I was like a day one theater goer for this.
Yep.
Because I love these movies, obviously. I mean, that kind of goes without saying at this point because we've said it so many times. But I love this franchise. I love these movies, and the quality is such peaks and valleys with it. So when it was coming out, the idea that Jamie Lee was going to do another one and they were going to get rid of all the bad ones was like. It was now. It seems like this has become a commonplace idea. The sequel that eliminates other sequels. Like you're seeing other franchises do this, but at the time I was like, man, that's so weird. Even though they had done it before, they had done it with H2O. Yeah. They've done this twice in continuity. They said, "Oh, we're gonna make a sequel, but it's not a sequel to those sequels." Like it's funny what you can get used to as a moviegoer, because that is such a like an inorganic way to approach a story. It's like it's the 11th movie, but it's a sequel to only the first movie, unlike the 8th movie, which is only a sequel to the second movie. Like, it's so all over the place. So I was so excited that we were just getting back to basics, and even eliminating the whole plot where Laurie was his sister. Like, that is so integral to how, like, that's all Halloween was. Like, that was the main plot of Halloween for decades. So the idea that they were going to get rid of that even and just stick with Carpenter seemed so risky and different, but exciting, because it was like, oh man, they could do anything with this. And I was so excited going into this, and it was like, this is hyperbole, but it was almost like a religious experience, right? Like seeing a band like you'd want to see like your whole life. Like seeing Halloween play properly on the big screen for the first time in my life was so cool. I was just beside myself about it. And I Connor, I'm sure you saw this in the theater pretty early as well.
Yeah, this one holds a special place in like my it holds a special place for me, because I'm pretty sure this was like the first movie me and my fiance went to see for the first, like, that was our first movie we went to see together. So that right off the bat, like, good memories. I love David Gordon Green. I love Vice Principals, Eastbound and Down, Righteous Gemstones. So when it came out, I was like, I love David Gordon Green. Can't wait to see what he does with horror, especially co-writing it with Danny McBride.
Right.
It was just so funny. I was like, what? How are they going to do Halloween? Like, that's crazy. Yeah. And they pulled it off. It was a wonderful time in the theater. Everybody was like cheering, and like it was one of those, like, I remember seeing like midnight movies, like the Paranormal Activity movies and stuff at midnight, and just people like getting rowdy, and it brought me back to that. Even if it was like an 8 o'clock showing, it was a crazy experience. It was awesome.
Yeah. It was just, it felt very special when it came out. And I agree. It was like Danny McBride, right? It's like, it was a weird crew around it. And we've talked about that before, the weird connection that people who are fluent in the world of comedy seem to also be able to make the transition to horror quite easily.
Yeah.
And like, I know he kind of dips his toes in the water when he showed up in Alien Covenant, and it was like, okay, wait, this guy's like got some interest in this world and this genre, and comes out with this, which feels like such a devoted love letter to the original, right?
Yeah.
Like, not only in that it's within continuity strictly to that, but it really is a rewarding experience to watch, the original and this back to back, and see how the two echo each other. And
yeah. I'm excited to see what they do with their new trilogy of Exorcist movies, which they're doing the Halloween treatment. They're making a direct sequel to the original Exorcist, and then doing a trilogy out of those. So
didn't even know that.
Also with Blumhouse, so I'm excited to see what they do with that. Same writers, Danny McBride, David Gordon Green, and David Gordon Green is directing all three of them. So I'm excited to see what they do with that.
I do want to say, Taylor, this was one of those movies towards the end of the Movie Pass days. I remember you talking.
This was not. I think this was an AMC pass. I think my movie.
I think you had transitioned. I hadn't yet, because I was still on.
But this. You're right. This isn't the era when I was going to the movie theater 3-4 times a week. Still, it was a fast time.
I remember going to Jenna's Halloween party, seeing you after it had come out, and you're like, "Yeah, I think I've seen it like 2 or 3 times already."
This, I don't know this I only saw once in the theater, so really? I don't know what I was talking about that day. Maybe I was just lying to you.
Or maybe watched it by other means.
I actually hadn't revisited it, I think, until this month.
Really?
In preparation for this. Yeah. And it held up just as well as I liked it just as much as I did when I initially saw it. It held up super well, because I had to watch it, of course, immediately before seeing Kills, because I mean that's again rewarding to do so, to watch those two immediately back to back, as we kind of discussed briefly before we started this. And I think everybody, Moose has seen Halloween Kills. We've all seen Halloween Kills at this point. So Halloween Kills chat will kind of probably wander in. Obviously, we're doing full spoilers on 2018. I guess as a precaution, we'll just say full spoilers on Kills too, because at this point, I think anybody who's interested in hearing about this movie has surely seen Halloween Kills as well. I think it's a safe bet at this point.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, this one I really dig it. I don't know if I'd put it above Carpenter, but it's definitely my second to Carpenter. It's my favorite one, and coming from this weird comedic team background, I love the tone that they craft in these movies. This like weird, dark humor. I would call it like cruel humor.
Yeah,
that exists in both of them, right? It's not like there's tons of like out of place comic relief, like not stuff that takes me out of it. It's just I think it's interwoven pretty well. With like the exception of like, you know, like the kid of the babysitter scene, it's like that feels like that's like a detour from the plot, but it works so well. That kid rules. That's like my top 10 favorite things about the movie.
So here, I rewatched it today with a classmate of mine. It was his first time seeing this movie, and he's like, "That kid is every black person at a horror movie."
He's great, and if I remember correctly, like he'd never acted before. He was just like, I don't know how they found him or they ran into him, but they just like had decided after talking to him, like they should put him in the movie. And like all his lines are just ad-libbed.
Yeah, I think that's inherent with, you know, David Gordon Green and Danny McBride. They find these like people just off the street and then throw them in their shows and movies and get like gold out of them.
Yeah. The kid rules.
The kid rules when like the knife goes down into his babysitter and he's like, "Oh fuck this!" I'm like, "Oh my god!" The kid is doing exactly what any one of us would be doing if we witnessed that. Like, "Oh fuck, we're out of here."
I love when he's running out the door. He goes by the boyfriend. Dave, go up there, and then right afterwards, you're gonna die. It's like you just told him to go up there, but then you just said, "Yeah, you're gonna
die." Yeah, that's true. The kid does the thing we always tell every character in these movies to do, which is just leave, and he gets to be one of the few survivors of this movie. Even gets to have a little cameo in Halloween Kills as well.
That's that asshole kid Julian from across the street.
Yeah. So we know he does all right. I think they found a lot of cool ways to put this movie, make this a contemporary movie while also being a sequel to the 70s movie, which like kicks in right off the bat by having true crime podcasters investigating Michael Myers. I remember seeing that being like, wow, if we were in that reality, it is so feasible that true crime podcaster, like tasteless ones would be, you know, would obsess over Michael Myers and try to exploit that story for their show. Fucking podcasts, ain't they the worst?
To be fair though, it was covered that they were award-winning podcasters who try to view things from an unbiased lens. So it's not like they were just exploiting it. Like straight up,
we won the award for booziest podcast.
No,
we should.
It was something like they were able to get a death row inmate's conviction overturned. Ended up getting overturned because there's something like that. It was right there when they were talking to Lori about it, and I'm just like, well, shit, I didn't catch this the first time around.
They do say that, which makes it feel like a riff off of like NPR or Serial or like one of those more prestigious shows. But then they also, you know, they treat
pay $3,000 to get an interview.
Yeah, and I feel like they're very disrespectful and
absolutely. Because I mean, he's trying to get a reaction out of Michael, the dude that's just been locked up, and like he goes in with the mask and like tries to get a rise out of Michael right off the bat. Like they are exploitive.
That was actually one of my favorite scenes. Actually,
was great.
Yes, the whole interaction, and you knew from the get-go, fucking Dr. Sartain was was an asshole, right? You knew he was a wackadoo and was obsessed with Michael in weird ways. But like that whole pod, like with the podcasters and they're asking him questions, and when he pulls out the mask, Michael doesn't react, but every other inmate does. Almost like they can feel like a disturbance in the force, kind of like,
right.
Oh shit, yeah, there's the dark side right there in that mask. And he doesn't react, but everybody else does, and their reaction. And then also at the end of it, like, oh, these podcasters are dead as fuck. Like they're definitely dead in this movie.
Dude, that teeth shot is one of the money moments of the movie for me. Just the bloody hand drops the teeth, and my friend's like, what is he put? I'm like,
yeah, the actual like kill scene, and then he goes to the car and pulls out the mask from the trunk like that, and you get the shot through the back window. I thought there's a lot of really great shots in this movie. It's well shot.
Yes.
Which I was surprised.
I had to go back because I thought I saw him beating the mechanic.
Yeah.
And then I had to go back and I was like, oh shit, he is beating it because he wants the jumpsuit. He wants the overalls. Like he wants to complete that ensemble, you know?
Yeah, it is funny that, I mean, obviously he wants the mask, right? Like that's the signature move, but it is funny that he's like, I really want a navy blue mechanic's jumpsuit.
There's a great deal of like attention to detail, especially in that kind of sequence. Like when they first pull up, you see him walking in the background.
Yeah.
Towards the garage, and then you see him like beating the shit out of the mechanic in the background. It's such a well like shot and paced movie. It was really surprising to see, especially for like, I mean, at this point in 2018, I mean, slashers have ultimately come and gone. You're not getting a lot. Like this was a resurgence, I believe, in like slasher movies.
Yes.
I mean, we had like 2009's Friday the 13th, and then 2011 Scream 4. But since then, it was like the A24 horror.
You don't want
to like period pieces and stuff like that. So that's what we were getting. So seeing a slasher come and have the look of those A24 movies was like surprising to see. And now we're getting this huge boom of slashers, like iconic slashers again. Getting new Scream, the Chucky TV series, like we're getting all these iconic characters back, and they're all killing it. It's great to see.
You didn't want to acknowledge that dog shit 2010's Nightmare on Elm Street?
Well, that's true. That's the thing. Every time they tried to get the ball rolling again, it fell flat. Like that movie's awful. I think the Friday the 13th remake's all right, but it I don't think
I love the Friday the 13th remake.
That franchise is just fantastic. Fucking purgatory, and I know the original writer just won something big for that case.
Yeah, it'll be coming back soon. I think LeBron James is going to produce one or something.
No. So that was before this whole lawsuit came into place. So I don't even think that's in play anymore.
I bet he throws some money at it.
But in any case, to Connor's point, that's the slasher movies that were every time they tried to make that resurgence happen, it didn't work. Even when the movie was all right, it wasn't received very well, and so it just wasn't sticking. And I agree. This would open the floodgates, right? Not only does this hit, and they go, we're going to make 2 more of these. Everybody else goes, oh fuck, they dig up Scream. Now we're getting a new Scream movie. Chucky's on TV right now. New Texas Chainsaw next year. New Candyman this year. Like all the classics are coming out, and they're doing interesting things with these. And Hellraiser's getting a movie and a show.
Yeah. And the show is done by David Gordon Green.
That's true. And
the movie's going to be
like, give me all the properties.
And the movie's going to be more faithful to the novel because it will be following a female. What's it called? Yeah. So
a female Cenobite Pinhead.
Yes, thank you. Yes,
you're welcome.
I wonder why you know so much horror movie knowledge. It's like you post a show.
Yeah.
I did miss that question in our Finstock Exchange horror free-for-all that we had amongst each other.
Ooh.
I will never forget the cinema. What are they, Cenobites?
Cinnabon. Yeah, Cinnabon.
Cinnabon.
Well, that was what Taylor was his explanation for it. He's like, it's not quite Cinnabon, but they're Cinnabites. That sounds just as delicious.
That's true. That's true. That sounds like a snack size one you could put in your pocket.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the hierarchy is Cinnabon, Cinnatwist, and then you got the Cinnabites.
Oh, talk about a little twist. Do you guys think? Because I thought that I'm not sure if I still think this, but when I first saw this movie, I had a theory that the entire movie is those podcasters' fault, and that they had basically activated Michael with that stunt they pulled at Smith's Grove.
I think it's like a domino effect. I think that kind of kickstarted, and then you have that shitty doctor who's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna make this bus go off the road," which we don't find out until the end. Towards the end, that he kind of helped.
Also, keep in mind that was part of the doctor's plans as it was, because he didn't want Michael to end up in the other facility.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I think that the doctor wanted to almost study Michael in the wild. So he allowed the podcasters to come in. So, I mean, the grand organizers from the get-go, activating Michael Myers was all the doctor's doing, even bringing the podcasters in with the mask. So, yeah, the podcasters activated him, but, Doc is the puppet master behind the scenes.
Yeah, the puppet master. Yeah. But I feel like if the podcasters didn't come in, Michael probably would have stayed kind of docile almost.
Yeah.
Would have never kind of gone into the wild and done this. I think, letting them in and them kind of activating him with that mask kind of set things in motion. That's what I mean by domino effect.
Right.
It wouldn't have happened unless they asked for the interview. So it was kind of tandem with the podcasters and the doctor.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I now's probably a good time to talk about Dr. Sartain. Because I remember when I first saw this, that was my prevailing critique of if I had one of the movie. I was like, oh man, they just did Loomis again. Movie. I was like, you can't. That felt like a lazy, just copying the original. Donald Pleasanton's gone. We're not going to recast Loomis, so we're just going to make a new doctor. But obviously, they're playing on your expectations of what you think that character is going to be when they reveal, in the back half that he's kind of the anti-Loomis. He's, infatuated with Michael, and instead of wanting to destroy him, he wants to understand him and see him as he truly is. And he's the real architect of the events of the movie. How did you guys feel about Sartain? Did you like that?
I cheered when he got his head popped like a balloon.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
See, that's why I loved watching it today with someone who he's never really watched horror movies. This is his first experience to a Halloween movie, and he's just like, what the hell? He's like, is he superhuman? But damn, that's a kill. And I'm like, yeah.
Which is surprising because everybody cheered when his head got stomped in, just flattened. But that was one of the biggest criticisms people had about Rob Zombie's H2 is they were like, that head stomping scene was just too gross.
Maybe we as a society, we
9 years later just came around to head stomping.
Yeah, our taste had refined a bit as a culture, and we were ready. We weren't ready in 2009, but now we were. Maybe
it was because the doctor was such an asshole.
Yeah.
Connor's wafting of his wine is how our culture has evolved to the head popping, right? It's then it was a little too bold. Now we're
9 years age,
just right,
just
fine. Enough pop.
Very fine.
I'll tell you what, I was not expecting the head popping we got in Halloween Kills. That was one that I went, oh shit.
Yeah, that's a good point too. As far as the violence and the kills go, that's the other contemporary thing this movie has to contend with, which is, like you said, Connor, Rob Zombie was the one who was like, well, we got to make these movies really fucking violent in a world where Saw exists and these graphic, blockbuster horror, wide release horror had gotten pretty violent in a way that used to be reserved for your splatter movies and your B movies and stuff that, the weird shit you get at the back of the video store. Now, movies at the multiplex were getting that intense and violent. So Rob Zombie is kind of the pioneer of we're going to make these kills really intense. We're not killing people off screen. We're showing it. We're showing all of it. And they carry that into this movie in a way that maybe still isn't as indulgent as some of the Rob Zombie stuff, because he fucking loves it. But it understands that you're going to have to do it. In order for this movie to hit correctly in 2018 and to get audiences to respond how they had in 78, I think you have to go more intense, because otherwise they'll lose interest, because they've seen so much at this point,
And nothing's greater than being in a packed theater and then getting like a really good kill, and everybody's like covering their like mouths, like, oh my god, I can't believe that happened, and then there's just one person in the back row like, oh shit. Like, there's nothing better than that moment in a packed theater during a horror movie. Love that. That's like my favorite moment going to a horror movie.
Taylor, I think you know.
I'm super squeamish about like blood and guts in movies. This is probably one of the reasons why I'm just now introducing myself to the horror aspect of it. When he popped his head, like my wife went on the Halloween journey with me this week, and it was difficult explaining. Okay, so 1978 to 2018. There has been multiple Halloween movies. Those don't count.
Yeah.
She's like, should we watch those? It's like, no, we're just watching this one and this one. But then when the head popped, it was one of those moments where I was like, fuck. Like, I literally had that reaction when that happened. I literally was just like, oh, fuck. Okay, let's go. Like, you deserved it, but still, like, I didn't expect that to happen.
That's how I am with like anything to do with the eyes. So whenever Michael like grabs someone's head
and you just see the eyes pop out.
That gets me, like eyes. That's and true. Anything to do with like the heel.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Like if someone goes for the heel or the eyes, that's when I'm like, I kind of like turn and kind of watch through the corner of my eye, because those two things make me very squeamish. But it's strange because the head popping,
not a damn thing. You're just like, oh no. Taylor,
that's a head pop. That's cool.
Taylor, I think you nailed why I love this movie so much on the head in regards to its kills, because it finds that right balance between the over grotesque kills and the kind of classic, more subdued kills that we're used to from the older films in the franchise. And I think finding that balance is kind of why I loved it so much. I mean, I only really have an issue with one kill in the next film, and I'm not even going to get into it. But I understand the evolution of the kill and the grotesqueness. It works because in my opinion, they still don't really go too over the top with it.
Yeah, and we're talking about. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
So, one thing that like was noticeably different between 78s and 2018s was almost immediately you knew, like, okay, Michael's gonna be fucking some people up. Like, I mean, his first two kills were a father and like a little kid. Yeah. And it was like,
right.
Okay.
And when you see that father's neck,
yes, his head's fucking backwards, and then he snaps the kid's neck, and I'm like, oh, he's not going to kill the kid. And it's like, oh no, he's going to fucking kill the kid. Like, right off the bat, the kills was like, those two kills almost set the tone for how this movie was going to go. Like, Michael was unleashed, and the brutality of what he was going to do over the next like
40
few
years
hours
of just like pure evil, just compacted into one like big dude. Like, you had so much evil just waiting to come out, and I think they captured that really well right off the bat. And we're talking about the kills. The kills kind of carry the movie scene to scene, but really the person that is driving this movie is obviously Jamie Lee Curtis, who has come back after such a long time away from the series, and she's become like this like badass like final girl like icon, and kind of took Laurie in a different direction. She's like this ultimate badass now, and everybody's rallying around her, and everybody is loving this iteration of Laurie now. And
she's the Sarah Connor of horror.
Absolutely drove the movie. Like, she was the standout by far.
That's definitely what sells the film, right? Is like if you did the same movie, but they're like, we're going to introduce a new character at the center of it. It just doesn't grab your attention as well as saying, no, we're going to bring back the person who made you give a shit about these movies in the first place. Mm-hmm. And I think the way they treat it, obviously her character is very sad. They kind of played this beat in H2O as well, where she's even so many years later still in day-to-day life being affected by what happened to her, on that night. And they take it even further, where it's fully consumed her life, or, it's trauma that's passed on to her child, her daughter, and the way that she raised her. And
where she ultimately loses her custody of her daughter when she's 12.
It's crippled her ability to function at all as a normal person. She's agoraphobic. She won't leave the house. She's a shut-in. She's like the old hermit on the hill that everybody talks about, right? Like she's an urban legend in of herself. And it's also very sad. It's like, yeah, she's getting ready and she's a badass and she's going to hunt him down and kill him. But it's like, also she's very, very traumatized and has never found a healthy way to confront what's like that was a smart angle psychologically to treat her and not just make her like lock and load. We're gonna kill Michael. It's like, no, this is effectively ruined her life, and at the same time you see the whole town, because this is not the Halloween franchise that we've known for 40 years. This is a world in which Michael Myers killed a few babysitters once in the 70s and then was locked up in a hospital for the next 4 decades. So like the town in this movie, obviously in Kills, a bit of a different situation, but in this movie the town effectively moved on, where even you have the kids are like what happened, like I heard about
and
this.
The adults some of the adults kind of treat it like a joke, because I remember that was something like when that woman's taking the podcasters to see Judith's grave, she mentions the town as a whole has just tried to move on from the entire incident of what happened 40 years ago, and even Judith's death before that, and just tried to act like nothing happened.
That's true, because the woman at the graveyard's even like, maybe you can tell me why this is even a big deal. Like, I don't even understand why people come to visit this grave marker, like they don't even
like
aware.
The only 2 people who in the town like went on high alert with Michael Myers going missing was Sheriff Hawkins, because he had a history with Michael, and then Laurie. And those are the only, and it's evident when Michael is killing that babysitter, and the 2 people that show up to address it are Hawkins and Laurie Strode. So the town has moved on, has forgotten it, has written it off as, urban legend or, something that happened in the 70s, 40 years ago. And the only 2 people who still it haunts are those 2 people.
And it was interesting because Hawkins was a new character for just in general. He was a new character, but they still gave him enough background within the dialogue that you're like, oh, okay, where he is connected, because even Dr. Sartain says, did you know he saved Michael from being killed that Halloween night after he was captured? And then ultimately we end up seeing that moment in Kills.
Yeah.
And I had completely forgotten that was a line of dialogue, because it's just so quick. And going back and rewatching it today, I was like, damn, this movie is much deeper than I remember it being, and how it sets things up so well.
There's a lot of what appear to be trivial little details in this movie that matter in Halloween Kills, and in a way that did not jump out at me when I watched Halloween Kills. It was only when I went back and watched this one again before this episode. And you see, the doctor and nurse, getting in their car while Michael's walking out. He's hitting the town for the first time. You see those characters pop up.
The kids who ended up playing the trick on Little John and Big John. You see them walking around trick or treating.
Big John, Little John.
Yes.
Legends.
Legends.
The other inmate, the other inmate who got away and escaped. He's
right.
You're talking about. He's got the umbrella in that first scene.
The gentleman with the umbrella over there, right?
The penguin. Yeah. Matt Reeves' new penguin.
That is true. That dude looks more like
Just
the
like the
Penguin than
Penguin.
anybody has before
Like
in cinema. He nailed it.
Oswald Cobblepot spelled all over him.
Yeah. It's cool the way that these little things carry over in the sequel, which obviously takes place within the same night. But I do think it's also, whereas that movie is it kills us so focused on, hey, it's this character from the first one and this character from the first one. Remember this. This one is creating its own, it's creating its own cast, and most of them eat it, which is typical of the slasher film, because that's what we're here to see. Most of them don't make it to the end of the movie, but you get to see new characters and inner workings, which I think they pulled off pretty well too. I think Laurie's family, that whole dynamic is great. I mean, you have Judy Greer, who's fantastic in everything, and I think I think her performance in this rubs some people the wrong way, but I think it's by design where it feels very detached in moments. There's like that scene where they get out of the restaurant and she's telling Allison for the first time like what her child was like, and it's so deadpan, and she has like 1,000-yard stare, and it's like you can definitely feel her character has all this other pent up tension and trauma for a different reason, all coming from her own mother, that like she's got to keep that locked away, and so she doesn't pass it on to her daughter. Like she so desperately wants to just be rid of this boogeyman shit. And also, her husband rules. I don't remember his name, but he gets peanut butter on his penis.
Yeah, he gets peanut butter on his penis.
I meant to clip that. I meant to clip that out and just have that quote in the thing. I got peanut butter on my penis.
Like that's a Danny McBride
the guy
line.
who plays her husband is Toby Huss, right? And if you've ever followed like Toby Huss's like movie career, the dude is killed in like every movie he's in. I knew from like the get go, like his persona, I was like, oh, Michael's gonna kill him for sure. He rules when he's talking about like buying peyote and smoking it, with his daughter's girlfriend's boyfriend's dad or whatever.
Another callback we get in Kills.
Yeah.
Yeah. The flip side of that story.
Fucking Lonnie.
But that guy, like, come on. I knew from he ruled, but I was like, oh, he's dead as fuck. Like he's another one.
Yeah. He was certainly not long for this world. That's true. But he's great. All the little high school stuff. You kind of like need that in your Halloween. Like you need the high school life with Allison and getting excited for the dance. Like if you want to make it feel spiritually connected to the original, you got to kind of keep all that stuff, right? Like that's the class. You even get a little babysitter action, with her friend and the kid we mentioned previously.
There's a cool high school scene where Allison is sitting in the exact same seat that Laurie Strode did in the original, and she looks out the window, and in the original you see Michael Myers standing there staring at Laurie, and this time it's Laurie staring back at her, standing in that spot. So that was a cool little connection back to the original. Speaking of the kind of the high school experience that you would throw in there, like it's obviously a small town. Like I'm assuming Laurie's daughter probably sat in that same seat too. So I don't know, I thought that was a really cool little connection that Green threw in there.
No, I agree. The shot recreations, and they do it again towards the end, where Michael looks out the window after like beating the shit out of Laurie to go look at her body, and she's not there in the backyard anymore. Which is, the ending of the original. I love because like they do something like that in Halloween Kills. Where Michael like climbs up on the car and like smashes the window. It's like a shot for shot recreation of something from the original. It's like I don't need that stuff so much, but like recreating it in a way that's cool and inventive like this, where it's like, okay, we're gonna put Laurie in his position instead, and like let's continue to emphasize the connection that those characters have, and how Laurie even resembles him kind of psychologically in some ways now. Like he's imparted that on her, and like now she is the one who hunts people. She's the stalker. She's shaped like in her own way. I thought those shots were really cool. That was every time one of those happened, it was like in the theater you could tell who was like a Halloween fan, because you could hear everybody go like, oh hey, yeah, look at that.
And we're talking about the details.
This movie was your Avengers then.
Yeah,
like
a little bit.
Yeah, it really does sound like it.
Jumping back to the beginning, the the detail and like callbacks to the original and just how faithful it is apparent right from the beginning. Because when we get the close up of Michael from behind and he kind of turns his head, you see the needle puncture in his neck.
Yeah.
And then later on, we see like his blind, like his eye all fucked up from the needle as well. So they really call back to that original one. So you can tell that, you know, David Gordon Green and Danny McBride both had a like love for that original one, where they are like so like detail oriented with everything, really.
It's certainly their mission statement going into this, right? It's like, we're going to make an airtight sequel to the first one. We're even going to disavow the sequels in the dialogue of the movie, right? Where they have like the kids walking home. Isn't he her brother? And no, that's just some shit some kids. Like, I love the idea that all the non-canon sequels to the movie could be like urban legends about Michael in this world. Like, hey, wasn't he a part of a cult? You know, like stuff like that. You know, the rumors that I love that idea, is that the stories would still persist in this universe without having actually happened, like building up the boogeyman legend. And also in the way that it's a love letter to the original, we got to say, like, this is the first Halloween that John Carpenter has anything to do with after the third movie. He's not a producer. You know, he probably gets like, you know, a story credit, you know, characters by Carpenter credit, stuff like that. But he has no hands-on involvement on any of the movies past Season of the Witch. Like, he just washes his hands of all that stuff. They kind of court him for H2O. He was really close directing H2O, if I remember right. And I think it may have come down to like, they just weren't going to pay him enough. And he was like, well, fuck off. Like, Carpenter's going to get his bag. If you don't have it for him, and he's going home to smoke a bowl and play Call of Duty. Like, he's got nothing to prove to anybody. But whatever they said to him for this one, they got him on board. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it was just a matter of writing the right number on the check. I don't know, but he's the producer on this movie.
From what I remember reading leading up to it, it was they showed him the story.
Yeah.
And that's ultimate. It's similar to Stallone with the Creed films, where they showed him the story they had in place, and that ultimately is what ended up leading him to sign on to be attached to it.
Well, didn't he and his daughter come back to score this one?
He and his son composed.
Okay.
Let's talk about that score, because I love it. The score of this film.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, obviously, you're going to bring in your classic theme as much as you can. You know, no Halloween movie is complete without the classic theme. But I think having Carpenter back at the keys for it, like reincorporating in really interesting ways, coming up with new little riffs and motifs with it. There's like this, I don't know if it's a guitar. There's like this, it sounds like a demon, like throughout the sound. I don't even know how to like recreate it, like enunciate it to you. I don't know. I think it's something he's doing with guitar strings or something, but it's like this wailing sound that comes up a couple times in the score. It just sounds so imposing and scary. And I mean, in addition to throwing these movies on in October every year, it's like since 2018, I'll just catch myself like driving around listening to this fucking soundtrack, like the neighborhood creep.
Yes.
Like, you know, I'm literally Michael in the first movie, like burning rubber in the neighborhood while this theme song plays up a fucking window, like a weird look for sure. But I find myself, I'm like, I just got to hear that. I gotta hear that one where he's like chasing Allison through the backyard. I love that one. I gotta put that.
I like the like electric guitarist they've thrown in this one and Kills, where it's like, just it feels like a natural continuation of it, but also modern at the same time, and it just kicks ass.
Like, anybody who watches movies will tell you, a good score makes the movie, right? Just the scene where you need to be on your pins and needles. If the score is perfect, you absolutely are. And the score rocked on this one. Like halfway through the movie last night, watching 2018's, I was like, dude, this fucking music rocked. And I'm comparing 78 to 2018. And it's like they're really taking that, like, you know, cheap John Carpenter playing the piano, you know, on a budget, you know, movie in 1978, and he's like, fuck it, I'm going to write my own music for it, to then, you know, just amping it up to where I agree. I can't replicate the sound, but damn it, when you hear it, you're like, oh, fuck, there he is, or something bad is about to happen. It's such a good score.
It's just as important as, you know, the jack-o'-lanterns on the street, like it's and the changing leaves. It's like it really does speak the same language as the visuals of the movie, where it's like it just sounds like fucking Halloween. Like you need that to really bring it all together, and it just completes it. And it really is. I think this is, you know, Matt, you were putting it maybe your favorite movie. It's definitely got to have. I've not really spent much time with the score for Kills, but like I think this is good. Yeah,
that thing slaps.
That one's a bop as well. This is this is the best soundtrack, at least, and maybe Kills will top it once I spend some more time with it. But this is, I think, the best score for any of these movies, where it's just it just feels terrific. I also I'm just kind of like spitballing things I like from this movie. We got to talk about the one take. Yeah, Jeff.
Oh my fucking god, I love that.
The one take shot where Michael finally makes it into Haddonfield and he's got his mask.
God, I love that.
I love it. It's technically a tracking, because there ultimately is that cut that leads to when he goes.
Yeah, but that initial
the initial one take is
when he's walking down the street and gets stopped by people, even kids, and you're like, you have that like drop in your stomach, like he's gonna kill this fucking little kid right in the middle of the street. And then he just keeps walking, and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
And then he walks like through the backyard under like the fluorescent lights, and then you just get the sound of like the buzzing of the lights and just the way it was lit. And then he walks like into the garage and then into the house. Like, oh my god! I remember that was like, I think in the teaser that like
it was the first
right
trailer.
Before it cuts. It has that cut when he finally gets into the house. I remember seeing that in the teaser, and I was like, I'm fucking on board. I love a good one, like a one shot. Like I just love a good long take, and that was fucking brilliant the way they shot that. Just when he walks under those fluorescent lights, and then you get the buzzing, and it's just so menacing. I don't know how to describe it. Love that scene. That's probably my favorite out of the whole entire movie. It's just so fun.
His whole like cadence and energy too. This is like a weird parallel to draw, but like the way he like hits the street and the kids are trick-or-treating, and he just kind of stands there and like takes it in, and then he just like snaps to attention. He like looks over here and he goes, all right, time to get started. Like it feels to me like it's like an animal escaped out of the zoo, right? And like is breathing in the fresh air and has no.
It's like a long weekend of binge drinking, and you step outside and you're like, fresh air.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
it's like when you know you have a good meal coming up and you starve yourself all day, and when you get in there you can't eat that meal fast enough. It's like, fuck, just give it to me, let's go.
Yeah, I love the way he just snaps to attention and takes off, and it's like he wastes no time, because you know, Michael that we've seen, especially in this continuity, it's like, what do we know about him? He got out of Smith's Grove, he came back to Haddonfield, he hung out in his house a little bit, and then he like dwelled on Lori for an entire movie. He wasn't really, right. I mean, he was killing within like her social circle, right? Like he was all about central focus Laurie Strode. He wasn't really just going house to house to house randomly at his leisure to kill everybody. But that's what we see him do in this. He just, first house he comes to, he wanders in the garage, grabs a hammer, goes in, and seeing him even get the kitchen knife, again, it feels like, I don't know what, it's like somebody finding their signature weapon, right? It's Thor picking up Mjolnir again. Like he finds that knife, and you just feel the energy. Like so much, even you can't see his face. He doesn't say anything, but you can like, he somehow emotes in body language, just the way he picks up that knife and looks at it. You just know he's like,
it's like your lucky tooth sock.
Well, here, so
exactly.
So hold on. My friend DeAndre, who's the one I was watching this with earlier. He, like I said, this was his first time with the franchise, period. And he literally turned to me, he's like, dude, is that just how he walks and moves his body? I'm like, yeah, dude. He's like, that's kind of robotic and it's scary as shit.
Yeah.
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 They actually refer to him as the Shape.
Yeah, Laurie
refers to him as the Shape. Yeah. Which is when you see his movements in this movie and like it's so methodical, so direct, like it's almost imprinted in him that he's just gonna go fucking kill people.
Yeah,
like it's just in his DNA. Like the way that he moves, it's the creepiest fucking thing. Sorry, excuse me.
No, absolutely, and it's worth saying they got Nick Castle in the mechanic's jumpsuit once again. That's who. At least a couple people play him in the original film. A couple different people do. But Nick Castle is one of them.
Two people play him in this film, and one of them's name is I just had this pulled up, and of course, James Judy Courtney is the one who we get to see the side profiles of, and
yes, when you get the out of focus face and stuff, and especially in the kills as well. And then I think Nick Castle does a lot of the actual body. When you see Michael walking around, that's Nick Castle, who was the original.
But it's when you're seeing Michael in action, that's James Courtney, because he's Castle doesn't have the body to keep up with the action like he used to.
It's worth saying he was doing this shit in 1978. So
he was born in 47. So
it's like you playing Chewbacca at some point. It's like you just can't do it anymore, man.
Exactly.
Okay, so speaking of coolest scenes, I got to throw this one out. The kid Oscar, the like weird, creepy, awkward kid Oscar. Okay.
Yeah.
So my favorite scene in this movie is he thinks it's like his neighbor's yard. And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Wilson. Fuck, I'm drunk. Was trying to make out with this chick because of mixed signals."
Oh my God, yes.
When the lights go out.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you can hear the footsteps in the leaves, like the wet leaves. Like you can hear the footsteps, and then the lights come on. And he's a little like, oh my God, yes.
That's the coolest scene of this movie. That was so great. Like just how again, if this is evil personified, how evil personified moves in the shadow.
Yes.
Yeah.
He uses darkness as an ally. Like him and Batman would compete over who was born in the darkness, right? And like that fucking scene when that thing went down, like I audibly went like, wow, that was one of the coolest like horror scenes when I saw that. And sure, it sucks that Oscar gets butchered, but still, what a great fucking scene.
Killed and then after death, impaled by a freaking spike on
the. Poor guy just trying to get some, after his prom or whatever, Halloween party or whatever it was.
I think light effects can make like something a lot more frightening. If they use light and like absence of light correctly, like. In You're Next, there's a great scene with like a pitch black basement in the flash of a camera just going on and off. And it's one of my favorite scenes in a horror movie. And then this one is just brilliant. Like when light goes on and off and then something's there and then not there, it's just so creepy because it's like a split second. And like it's just so frightening. And there's so many cool like scenes in this movie.
They do come up with so many great just isolated kill scenes, because obviously that's a big thing of Halloween Kills. I know a lot of people didn't like was how sort of separated all the action was from the story, and and it's like this scene doesn't have much to do with this scene. It's just kill, 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 kill. This does have isolated kills as a slasher needs to, because if you kill the main characters, then the movie ends. But anytime they do that when they're cutting away, it's always worth it, because it's always even the babysitter kill scene, like something very simple with the kid in bed and she's trying to shut the closet, and then somehow he's just fucking in there. It's like, how did he get it? What's he doing in there? How did he get in there? No one saw him go up the stairs. How long has he been there? Like it builds to that boogeyman thing where it's like, it walks that supernatural line where it's like he's just a man, but he's doing just enough to make you question, like, how could a man pull these things off? you know.
Yeah, in like I think Halloween Kills, I think the detachment and the like chaos kind of matches what's going on in Haddonfield. Like it's just pure chaos after 2018. So people like saying it's a mess. Like that's what it's going to be. Like it's just pure chaos.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be so methodical like this one is. Like he's just very methodical and like taking his time with kills, but then it's just pure chaos and kills, and he's just going kill, 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 and everybody else is like kill, 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 kill Michael. So it's just chaos and kills, and I think the way it's structured kind of works well with what's going on in Haddonfield in kills, but Michael kind of gearing up to that, it's a good transition in my opinion, but I like the just the kind of pacing of this one a little bit more than Kills.
Yeah, I do think this one's more cohesive and fluid and a little more focused, which I think is also a consequence for Kills, in that like this movie, it's like exactly what you want this movie to be. Like it delivers so much that you're hoping for, and delivers it all in one film. That like when you go to make a sequel, it's like, oh shit, well what do we do now? Like we totally nailed the resurgence of Michael and Laurie. It's like, oh shit, now what? We got 2 more to make. What are we gonna do? But like this one isn't concerned with any of that stuff. It's like we're just gonna deliver the best 3-act story that we can, and I think it really nails that and comes up with some interesting additions, interesting cast member. I do really like. I feel like you don't get a ton of her in Kills. I think they're really queuing her up for a big performance in Halloween Ends. But I really like Andy Matichek in this, plays Allison.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen her in anything else that I can.
Halloween. What if you pay attention to the credits? Halloween 2018 is introducing Andy Matichek. This is her first foray into anything really.
Yeah, she's gearing up for something big in Ends.
I feel like what we're gonna see in Ends is her kind of adopt a mentality similar to what Laurie has in this film.
Absolutely.
She will have just lost her mother, her father.
Supposedly. I'm iffy on that. I don't think that's.
David Gordon Green confirmed it in an interview. That's the only reason I said that.
We'll see. You never know with these fucking movies.
But also, it's a matter of she lost Cameron. One of my biggest complaints about Halloween Kills is that she just takes him back after, like, literally hours after he just treated her and stopped on her like shit.
I was happy when he got his neck just.
That was the kill that I was like, all right, that was a little too far over the line, but at the same time, dude's an asshole. So I was just about to say, at the same time, dude's an asshole. He deserved it. That was one that I was like, all right, that's too brutal for me.
He's an asshole, but I mean, like, he's also just some shithead teenager. That's pretty rough punishment for just being a bad boyfriend, is being like having every bone in your body broken by a psychopath. I don't know if he deserved it. He definitely, I don't want to be his friend, but I mean, that's pretty rough punishment.
There's kills, and then there's overkills, and then there's what happened to that poor bastard. And that poor bastard, man, he got the worst of it. So, yeah, work off that guy. But seriously, that was like, okay, you could have, like, boom, you stabbed him twice, right?
He got stabbed twice.
Then you beat him. Then you beat him.
Throat.
Then you slit his throat.
I mean,
wait, now you're beating him against the wall. Oh, and now you snapped his neck. Like, Jesus, the kid's dead.
We're getting in Kills territory, but I mean, I like how he stopped for a moment and just stared at her and then went back at it. I was like, that's fucked up.
And see, that I think that, once again, part of my issue with them kind of getting back together, just because you saw a female stand up to a man who just treated you like shit. I'm not taking this shit. And you just make that character regress a little bit, just a couple hours later, technically. And that's
Well, I mean, you got to consider what that character is also experienced.
Yeah.
I think she's totally beyond her boyfriend is a dick and is, my father was killed by a psychopath. My grandmother's in the hospital. That psychopath is still out at large, and I want to get justice. It's like I think it's perfectly reasonable that like a 17-year-old girl is gonna overlook that in interest of maybe getting closure on the murderous psycho that's ruined her life out on the town. If your ex-boyfriend comes up and says, "Hey, my dad's gonna shoot him. You want to help?" She's probably gonna be like, "Yeah, okay, I'll help." I don't think it's that unreasonable. She's had a lot happen in the last 12 hours of this universe.
Last 3 to 5 hours. Let's be honest. It didn't really start hitting her until the evening.
Yeah.
It's a tough night. They all need a drink.
I also got Miles Robinson, who plays the one boyfriend, who was really great.
I love Miles Robinson.
Tim Robbins' kid.
Yeah, and he's in this great movie called Daniel Isn't Real.
Yes.
So when he popped up in this, I was like, fuck yeah, like this guy rules. And I thought he was like great comedic, like levity in the movie. I love when he blew up the pumpkin and then like got the Halloween tattoo, and then ultimately like he was like, "Oh, you don't see the tattoo right away," and he's like, "I got this tattoo, so we'll never forget this night," or something like that. And then we see what the tattoo is, and it's like the date, like the Halloween date, 2018, and then you're just like, "Well, fuck."
Literally got his death day tattooed on his body unknowingly. By the way, I'm glad you brought that up, because I want to ask you guys something, and maybe you can help me out. After his girlfriend Vicky sees that tattoo, she says to him, "We're gonna dry fuck." What does that mean?
I'm pretty sure that's just when like you fuck between clothes.
Oh, is it the same as dry humping?
Yeah.
I think it's going to ask. So, when two people like each other,
they don't
want to risk anything, they do it over the clothes.
Because
AKA
chase the guy quite a bit. Girls take notes and chase the guy, and it hurts.
A horror movie. Great restraint for a horror movie.
That's
very true. It's very true.
Like that's instead of we're gonna raw dog the fuck out of this night. Like, we're gonna dry fuck.
Cousin Ryan gets it. Cousin Ryan gets it in the chat.
Over the clothes.
That's right. Thank you, Cousin Ryan.
Because I heard dry fuck, and I was like, that sounds awful. I don't think that's good at all.
It does sound awful.
It sounds like being teased. That's what it sounds like.
It sounds awful. But you know what? Maybe
like denim burn.
Right.
I mean, he's wearing those overalls, so there's definitely going to be some denim burn.
Yeah, you get. I think relative to Haddonfield, like maybe dry fucking is the thing to do, because everybody knows you start getting boned in Haddonfield, Michael comes through the door and stabs you in the back 20 times, but it didn't save them.
If you die,
and I like how they kind of turned that trope, and they're like, going against the tropes is not going to save anybody. You can dry fuck all you want. You're still fucking dying.
Michael's just a cock block man.
That's true. If you get all horned up and you make it on the couch, Michael's gonna sneak in. He's gonna go upstairs. He's gonna hide in that little kid's closet. He's gonna wait all night if he has to for you to come up there, just so he can kill you. And also, by the way, not only stage your bodies for the cops to find, but throws your fucking jack-o'-lantern in the aquarium. Did you notice that?
Yeah. Also, I can't imagine someone just standing in a closet for hours. Like, isn't he going to get cramped up? Like fuck my knees.
Do we really know how long? It feels like it could have just happened within a 10-15 minute span, honestly.
Could be 2 hours. I don't know. He's just in there. It's so great. Like it's the classic monster in the closet.
I stand for 8 hours, and by the end of the night, I'm like, oh, fuck my knees.
Yeah. But I guess the reason I think it's such a short time period is because she sends him to bed, and he's in there for a few minutes, and he's like, "There's someone at my door." He said he saw someone at his door first, and then there's no one at the door, and then he's like, "Can you close the closet?" And then the whole boom, boom, boom.
And it is interesting the restraint Michael has, and that he doesn't go for the kid. He really does set up and wait. He's like, I want to kill a babysitter, and I got a whole approach to how I'm gonna do that. But and it is also interesting because he does open up the movie with killing a kid, which is very much like this movie calling it shot. But he does not kill that baby during the one-shot scene, which I thought was
everybody thought he was going to kill that baby. Yeah. Like everybody in the theater was like, I heard an audible gasp, like,
and see,
no. And then he just walked away, and you're like, oh. It was like you could feel the tension in the theater. Like everybody was positive he was going to go for the baby.
As soon as you hear that baby crying, you go,
oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and there's a split second where he stops and looks at it.
Yeah.
And then it continues with the one shot. Yeah. I thought for sure that baby was dead.
Taylor, you mentioned the film calling the shot, and that's something I was about to say. Because you never really see him kill a child.
No, not even in 4 and 5, where his whole thing is chasing a child around. He never kills that kid. They never cross that line. And this movie goes like, hey, don't get comfortable, bitches. This is Halloween 2018.
Exactly.
Don't think you have us figured out. We'll shock you, which informs that baby scene where you're like, oh, fuck, are they really going to go that far?
Because we just saw him kill the kid. And so you're like, well, what's stopping him from killing this baby? And you really think he's going to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly how it was, Connor. You could just feel the energy shift in the room when he stands over the crib. But it's, and it might have been nothing other than to get that reaction. But it is very interesting to see him with a full opportunity to kill a person and just passes on it and leaves. It's just another interesting insight into his, unexplainable psychology that for some reason he said that wasn't worth his trouble, right? Like, nothing to prove by killing a baby, I guess. I don't know. Even Michael had a line.
Yeah, he's like, not really for me.
He like leaned in and went,
that baby shit itself.
It's like, in a few years, kid. Not yet. I'll come back later.
When you stop shitting your pants, I'll come for you.
I don't kill kids. I don't kill people with shit in their pants.
But I'll kill the little
kid. Once they're potty trained, they're a target. Before that,
if they're using a squatty potty, he's like good enough.
Yeah.
If they take dance classes, he fucking kills them.
Yeah.
Poor kid just wanted to be Billy Elliot.
Right.
That kid breaks your heart, right? Like he's like super nice to his dad and just wants to go to his dance classes. Like, man, get his neck snapped by a psycho. What a shame. Just extinguishing such a bright light in this world. Fucking whatever that kid's name is.
World needs more kids like that. Dude, I don't want to hunt. I want to go to ballet class.
Poor kid. He shoots stupid Sartain in his stupid shoulder like he deserves. Fucking Sartain. So let's talk a little more about the back half of the movie, which I think really kicks into full gear with the twist of Sartain, taking a knife to Hawkins, which totally caught me off guard. That definitely surprised me in the theater.
Was it a knife or was it he pulled? It was that pen. It was the pen. It seems like
I thought it was a scalpel.
Yeah, exactly. It seemed like that pen had a scalpel inside. As a part of it, because it's that same. When they first show you Sartain, they make sure to show you the little squid kind of design on that pen. And when he pulls out that scalpel, that same piece is on there. So it's like, oh, that pen had multi-purposes. That's kind of cool.
His little fucking evil doctor gadget. That's custom. He made that at home for that night specifically. Yeah. And he's all considered. He's like, don't worry, Michael. I'll be with you the whole time. Like he's got his best interest at heart. Which, by the way, once again, transferring Michael on fucking Halloween. I don't know why they always choose to do this. They could have done it in November. Could have done it in December. Could have just
like I said, President's Day.
President's Day.
Oh yeah.
Nobody.
You seem to have a whole shit about President's
Day. Just don't move him at all. Like he just stands in the middle of the playground all day doing nothing. What? Who's he bothering? Just leave him there. They always got to do this shit. I mean, again,
he hasn't spoken for 40 years. He just stands.
over 40 years. He hasn't spoken since he killed his sister. So what's the time between? Yeah, they said he hasn't spoken since he killed his sister.
I thought they said he hasn't spoken in 40 years.
Well,
it was 15 years from when he killed his sister in 1963 to 78. Right?
Oh yeah,
right.
15 years. He never said a word.
2018, 40 years. So more than 40.
55 years. 55 years. This fucker's never said a word.
He ain't said shit. And you want to?
So from the get-go, I was skeptical of the Dr. Sartain because Lomas was my favorite character in the original. And it's not because he was played by Strickland from Back to the Future, right? But because his character is just like the energy of the movie. He's pure evil. He has to die. Yeah. And then you learn really quickly. It's like, oh, he was my protege. It's like, okay, now you're grasping at too many straws. And then the little switch, you could see it every time. He would look at the sheriff when the sheriff was like, oh, I'm gonna fucking kill this guy. He'd give him this look and you're going, okay, there's something not right about this guy. And then you learn he's just obsessed. He just needs to know this enigma that is Michael Myers, why he does what he does. And he engineers this whole thing. That guy's just the fucking worst. But he played to perfection. Even the looks, it takes a good actor to deliver a creepy look. And this guy nailed it. That's for sure.
Yeah, and they really do play on your expectations of what that character is going to be. You think, it's Loomis. I know what that's like. So I again, when I first saw it, every time they cut to that character, I went, ugh, I don't like this part. But what they did with it totally won me over at the end, and the bizarre visual of him putting Michael's mask on, which I think. In his mind, he's trying to see the world through Michael's eyes, right? He's trying to understand Michael, and that's the big joke of it all. Is no one ever could. That's Carpenter's Michael. Is you'll never get it. It's incomprehensible, and he's trying to crack that egg. He puts the mask on. He looks so silly, and I mean, again, kind of spoilers jump ahead to kills, but it is purely his fault that all this plays out the way it does because Michael's not even. We learn again. Kill spoilers, but we learned Michael really wasn't even trying to find Laurie that night. Just trying to get back to his house. It was Sartain who was pushing that confrontation because he thought that would be key to his research and his experiment to get those two together again. And, he scoops him up and drives him over there. And, of course, we know he pops his head like a grape, which to me is so brutal. I think it probably pissed off Michael so much. He ignores Allison in favor of killing Sartain because I think he paid him the ultimate disrespect in putting that mask on.
Yeah.
Well, keep in mind how initially he does before the head being squished like a grape. He kicks the fucking chain wall in between the backs and just bam, bam. I was like, God damn.
As soon as he wakes up, he is in where's Sartain mode. I'm gonna beat that idiot's ass. You took my mask off.
It is a great payoff kill when Sartain is begging for Michael. At his last breath, he knows Michael's going to kill him. And he's begging for him to say something, and Michael says nothing and fucking kills him. It's such a good payoff.
Yeah, it's wonderful. He's like, no, you disrespected me. You're doing all this for no reason. I was fine, and now I'm just going on this rampage, and fuck you, and just bam, insane.
That feels like the personal kill to yes, of course, when he does realize, when he sees Laurie, obviously he goes, all right, I've got to try this out. I've got to try this move again. But to me, Sartain feels like the most personal kill in the movie where it's he was really seeking that guy out because he had a message to send to that guy, which was primarily fuck you. You do not take Michael's mask off. That's the only rule he has. When you take his mask off, it freaks him out. And he didn't just take it out. He put it on. And he looked like an idiot when he had it on. He looked super silly. So he had it come in as hard as anybody. So, yeah, Sartain getting his brain stomped out was great. And then they followed up with the DIY jack-o'-lantern thing with the cop's head.
I thought was sick. God. That was so cool.
Oh, my God. My buddy literally screamed, "Oh shit!"
Yeah. Wait, you know, it's the deliberation of Michael Myers is what's always kind of funny to me. Is like there's theater in what he does. Like the idea that he killed that guy, cut his head off, and then he sat there and he's like, okay, how am I gonna hollow this shit out in a way where like I can shine the flashlight? Like it's the visual of him like sitting there and like figuring it out.
That's what I want to see is that moment where he kind of like steps back and he's like, no, I gotta carve a little bit more.
Yeah.
At the end, he's like,
it's not quite on right.
Yeah.
Sitting around,
it's so good.
An hour, just like stepping back and kind of like.
Well, we get a callback. We get somewhat of a callback to that in Kills with Big John and Little John, where how he changes the positions in the photo that they were in.
It's all over Kills. Like even sets up like Big John, like, Little John from that car, like on the
with Vicky the babysitter. He sets her up sitting in the chair and puts a sheet on her like she's a ghost.
Yeah,
and he throws their jack-o'-lantern in the fish tank. Just so unnecessary.
Fuck this holiday.
There's just so much anger.
Come on, that's fucked up for the fish too.
Yeah, the fish got to deal with that. Which, by the way, this movie does also continue my grievance in all these movies where I'm like, who the fuck has jack-o'-lanterns inside? You don't put those inside. It's not an indoor decoration. Every single one of these movies does this. It's like a weird staple. There's one in Kills as well. There's a jack-o'-lantern inside.
I think Haddonfield is just filled with a bunch of morons.
They love Halloween in this town. It's like, God,
you're all they're risking to burn their house down with the jack-o'-lantern inside. Can you imagine if you forget to like blow out the jack-o'-lantern?
Oh my God, that's burning all night. Like even if it doesn't catch your house on fire, you got this roasted, burnt ass pumpkin smell in the morning. It's sticky. I just don't understand why are you putting jack-o'-lanterns in your house, people? Those are outdoor decorations.
You might get some fruit flies. Like
you're definitely getting.
Don't you have a jack-o'-lantern behind you right now in your house?
That's a different thing.
No.
Yeah,
but see, that's not really a real jack. It's not like it's a real pumpkin. It's a little plastic thing.
You put a real candle on that, it would melt. Yes, it would be inadvisable. But I noticed that as well. Anyway, the ending cops the jack-o'-lantern, and then we finally get. This is the fight you paid to see is Laurie versus Michael, and Laurie's home base, her turf. And, there's moving parts like Hawkins, we think he's dead again. And spoilers, Kills, we find out he's not, which was a surprise to me.
Didn't we see him get run over also?
Does he get run over?
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
You're right. He does.
Yeah. Yeah, and I also think we see Cameron, if I remember correctly. I didn't get to watch all the movie. Don't we see also Cameron get like stopped by the cops during this movie too, and then Kills like just completely ignores that part, I think, too, because it opens with him just walking home right there. It's weird that there's those little inconsistencies when the movies are also very closely knit with like the weird little things that connect them. But in any case, yeah. So the cops aren't coming. They got turned into jack-o'-lanterns. It's just Laurie, her family. Fucking Ray gets it, in the front yard with like a chain, I think, right? He gets like strangled with a chain and his neck broken or something like that.
Correct.
Ray's the first to go. We don't even get to see anybody react to that in this movie. Like Ray gets no ceremony in this. There's no time to even think about Ray after he eats it in this movie.
But he gets put in the closet.
Bastard.
He does. Michael does his thing. He starts staging bodies. He loves to do that. The showdown in this, it totally lives up to everything you want it to be. To finally see those characters fight each other after all the tension of the movie. And I love the detail of Laurie trying to go find him. It's not, her thing isn't even like, I'm going to stay home and hide. She's like, I want to find Michael. I want to kill him. Like that is her goal. And then finally she gets him on her home turf. How much do we fucking love like the last 20 minutes of this movie? Because I just think it's
I
stellar.
Completely dig it.
I have an opposite opinion. I hate to be the guy. I do. Okay. Here's my opposite opinion. You build up the entirety of this movie that Laurie is been training for this her entire life, right? Her house is booby trapped. She's prepared. She's expecting, for 40 years, she is expecting that one night Michael Myers will show up to her house, right? And she's trained for this. And then she walks out with the longest Winchester lever action rifle. Not a very tactical move, right? Because Michael Myers, I called it before it even happened. I said, oh, that's the stupidest gun that she could take out there to go against him. He's going to grab that gun because it's this fucking long, and he's going to choke her with it. And that's exactly what happened. He grabs, because to round a corner with this thing, this is what it's like, right? And you have to round a corner. So if I'm the guy, I'm going to grab the gun, I'm going to fucking immediately turn it on you, right? That's exactly what happens. Meanwhile, in her little, little shack that she has built underground, she's got like 50 handguns a bunch of tactical shotguns, and she chooses the lever action, right? So every time you fire the gun, you have to go and it's that fucking long. Not a tactical approach to a circumstance that you have been training your entire life for. She has all the weaponry. It shows all of the weaponry that is ready for her interaction. Thank you, George Thomas. And yet she goes after him with a fucking 1888 Winchester rifle that's fucking 4.5 feet long. Okay, that's my argument, right? She deserved to get her ass kicked, and she deserved to get shanked.
Moose.
Finally, she shoots off his hands.
It could have been no. She started off with she did start off with the shotgun. The Winchester rifle came after she got the living piss beat out of her standing at her door. But to be fair, oh damn, I forgot about.
Do you think this would be just like a thing where I'm just gonna grab whatever's like closest to me, I'm just gonna grab like the closest weapon I can find and hope it does the job?
She took the rifle from her daughter because her daughter was holding on to it in the little shack. She could have easily turned to her right and grabbed the handguns.
Right.
That would have made it a lot cooler.
It could have been worse.
She actually was firing multiple rounds into this guy, and he continued to come.
Yeah.
Right.
She could have grabbed that freaking crossbow.
Yes. Okay. That was my other gripe. You're going to kill Michael Myers with a fucking crossbow?
Yeah, that certainly is not going to do the trick.
Yeah, come on now. Okay, so that's my gripe. And then the final scene where they finally trap him in this enclosure, right? She's trapped. I thought it was so cool, the Pam Grier gotcha moment. I thought that was amazing, right? Mm-hmm. And she finally shoots him. They finally have the upper hand. They lock him in the basement. They have him trapped. They're going to burn him to death. And then a second later, he's missing from this, trap that they've set. And you could have had such a cool, iconic scene of Michael Myers on fire. And then that would have just shown what the shape was capable of, especially in the next scene as he moves through this and survives this. And yeah, sure, there's a little burn on the side of the uniform and the mask, but what a cool scene that would have been to actually have caught Michael Myers on fire. Instead, they get away, and then all of a sudden, boom, or Judy. I said Pam Grier, didn't I?
Yep.
That'd be a cool movie too.
Yeah, right.
Jackie Brown,
probably a better casting, but that's my biggest gripe with that last stand. I was amped up for the whole movie for that because I'm a huge fan of a Sarah Connor type character, right? This female badass who's ready to just fight the demons that have haunted her entire life, right? Especially in this particular case. And for me, it was a huge letdown that 40 years you've been prepping for this. Yeah, you didn't really get him though. And then all of a sudden, Michael Myers magically can teleport. Because he's not in the basement anymore.
Yes, he is. He still is. Because if you pay attention, and this is why I felt like this was one of the coolest parts of Halloween Kills, it shows how tactical of a mind he is. Because he went over into that weapon shed where there was just enough room to pull down that metal panel.
He hid behind the grate, and then like pulled it up when he realized people were there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I need to watch that part. That's at the beginning of Kills, right?
That is at the beginning of Kills.
Because
the way that they end this one is
they were like,
he's gone.
Yeah.
Everybody was like, how the fuck is he going to survive like a burning building?
And
then
the first thing you see him as Kills is
showing you exactly
the grate goes up
how
and he's in there.
he
And it's
survived.
like,
okay, I'm going to rewatch that part after we're done here because I want to see that. That would add a little closure to my like, oh, he can fucking teleport now.
He hid in the weapon, in like grate, like
in the weapon armory,
and then pulls it up when he hears the firemen down there, and then just like
which I did appreciate in Kills because it's like it would not be out of bounds of this series, to just say, well, I don't know, he fucking survived. He was just standing around down there. So I did appreciate that they went through the trouble of saying, oh yeah, he survived because he turned Laurie's own design against her and used it to protect himself from the fire until, some dummies came and broke him out and saved him. So I like that they did put that little bit. Also, Michael Myers totally can teleport whenever it suits the plot. If they need him to teleport, he's going to teleport.
Sure.
And Moose, if you want to see Michael Myers burn to a crisp, you got to go check out Halloween 2, which that absolutely happens in, which was the original supposed ending of the Halloween saga, because that boy is barbecued towards the end of Halloween 2, which is also a pretty good movie. I actually would recommend that sincerely. If you are enjoying these movies, Halloween 2 is also definitely on the better side of the spectrum. And I do like the shot of I do like the shot where they do finally trap him in there, and you do see the fire coming in. I do love that the last time you see him, he won't give it, like he won't give him an inch. He doesn't react. He doesn't look at the fire. He is just fucking laser focused in, like doesn't have to say anything. He's just looking up at them and goes, you just feel him going like, oh, this isn't going to work. Like, I'm going to get out of here. And as soon as I do, I'm going to fucking kill all of you. But I do remember coming out of this movie and thinking like, man, that would be really cool if that was the last Halloween. Like they really did just tie a perfect bow on the whole story, and the idea that because I do like that Laurie still struggles. Like I like that she did prepare for 40 years and it still isn't quite enough. Like she doesn't have it nailed down. She doesn't just kill him as soon as he steps on the front lawn. It's like you can prepare your whole life and you'll never understand this thing, so you can never really prepare for what he's going to do. And especially in the way that she's advanced since the 70s. He's been sitting there in his cell for 40 years probably, like envisioning what he's going to do when he gets out. So like in the same token, I feel like there's so much he's prepared for on that night too. So I like that she struggles and gets tossed around, and I like that what ultimately is the thing that does beat him is that her family helps her out, right? Like
the family that thought she was just batshit crazy the whole entire movie, and then they're like, "Oh, she was right."
Yeah, exactly. The behavior that separated her from her family, it actually does come back, and she's in a way she's justified for her beliefs and her fears, and it's her daughter who gets the last shot, and even Allison. I love the final shot of this, which is just her
holding
white knuckling that knife at the truck at the end. Which when I remember when this ended, I was like really curious about the implications of that. I thought they were going in a way different direction, where they were like saying, Allison got a taste of of murder or something. Like there was they always like to play with that in this series, the idea that Michael's evil could transfer to somebody else.
They kind of keep doing that in Kills, where she's like so gung-ho about going after Michael. Like, I want to fucking murder this guy. And like, even like once like the bigger gun in the arsenal and all this stuff. So they still play on that in Kills, which I thought was cool. Like, I don't know if they're going to pay off with that, or if it's just something they're like planting. I'm not sure, but that was cool.
I did like when Judy Greer had her choice of weapons, she picked the rifle that was her rifle when she was a child.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of a really cool little connection. Like, she tried to abandon that childhood and then in that moment realized, like, okay, I've been training for this. Or I was training for this my whole life. This is the weapon of my choice. I thought that was a really neat little nod.
Yeah, it's like getting back on the bike after all these years, just going through the motions, breaking that emergency glass. It's time for Michael Myers crisis mode. This is exactly what I was told every day would happen, and here we are. I like that. I think it's pretty tight writing that them working together is what works, and not one of Laurie's contingency plans or any of that. It's that they have to. It's the one thing Michael doesn't have, right? Like he's by himself. But he doesn't have a family or a kinship. He just has weird fucking doctors who like stand after him in the hospital and try to wear his mask. That's as good as it gets when you're Michael Myers. So that's what ultimately defeats him. And then it doesn't ultimately defeat him because this is Halloween and he gets out and there's a whole nother movie and then there'll be a whole nother movie and then 10 years later there'll be a whole nother trilogy, and that's how these things function, obviously. But
so I wonder if part of the agreement of Carpenter coming on was he gets the say, because we know that the next film in the series is titled Halloween Ends. I wonder if part of the agreement to getting him to come on was giving him the Spielberg and Zemeckis treatment, where he can veto any future movies in this franchise being made.
Could be. I mean, it definitely the series definitely lost its way without him. And I do think it's a big statement that he's attached to these. I really don't think that's any small thing, because he didn't do it since the third one. As soon as the series got away from what he wanted, which was, he wanted, Halloween was supposed to be one movie, and Halloween 2, they convinced him to make Halloween 2. And then he was like, okay, Halloween 3, we're going to start telling new stories. And that didn't work. And they're like, we're going back to Michael Myers. And he's like, well, fuck that. I'm going to go make Memoirs of an Invisible Man or what, I'm going to go get really weird for the rest of my life if you're not going to listen to me.
Yeah, we're going to go to Mars.
Yeah. Escape from LA, motherfuckers. Like, I'm going to get super weird. As long as they're going to let me make movies, I'm going to make the one I want. So I think it's a huge testament that he's involved in this. And I don't know, how deep his involvement goes into the story, if he's there on set, if he's given notes or what it is. Obviously, he made the score of this, which is, as we said, incredible and definitely adds more personality to this than the previous entries had. But it feels like the biggest cosign you could get having him involved. And I love this movie, and I liked Halloween Kills a lot, and I'm super optimistic for Halloween Ends. I mean, I have no idea still what's next for this series or where they're going to take it. I have no idea what they can do.
Well, I love that. I love that where even after movie number 2 in a trilogy, you have no idea where the story's going.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, when part 2 comes out, everybody's like, I know where this is going. Like I know what's going to happen. I know where these characters are going, but I have no idea where they're going with Halloween Ends, and that has me super excited because I don't want to have the whole movie figured out, and that has me excited for like Scream, the new Scream. No idea where they're going with it.
True,
and that has me really excited. I don't want to know. I want to be surprised, and I think that's ultimately kind of what's carrying this series. It's a whole new story and with familiar characters, but we don't know where it's going. And that's really exciting.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I love this new continuity and this new spin on the series so far, and I agree. It's in a slasher subgenre, originality and creativity can sometimes be the exception and not the rule. So it's cool to see it kind of in spades in this. Doesn't work for everybody, as we know, with Halloween Kills, but at least they are doing something that I haven't seen these movies do before.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited.
The Last Jedi of the Halloween franchise.
That's one way to put it. Yeah, I suppose that's not a completely inconsistent parallel. It certainly seems like the Twitter discourse is matching that movie. So
that's exactly what I said.
It's at least got that going for it. No, I love this movie, and when we came up with the idea to do Halloween movies for a month, this one was a no-brainer because I think it's one of the most fascinating movies of the series as well. Was there anything before we wrap up tonight? Was there anything we forgot to mention? Anything else with Halloween 2018 that we did not hit?
No, not at all.
Throwing someone's phone into the cheese bowl is very fucked up.
No, that wasn't a cheese bowl. It was like a jungle juice bowl.
I thought it was cheese.
No,
it sure looked like cheese to me.
It had sherbet. If you pay attention, it's got like that sherbet coloring to it.
It fucking looked like cheese.
It's very thick.
It looked like cheese. It was super thick.
It was cheese. Because there was a bowl of chips next to it. It was cheese dip.
I got the movie right here. That was a sherbet mixed drink.
I wouldn't be drinking that jungle juice.
That thing didn't sink. That thing didn't sink. It slowly slipped.
Yeah, it went.
It's that jungle juice. I'm telling you.
Oh, hey.
Well, whatever.
My sister's in the chat too.
Oh, what's going on? Is that Renee here?
Yeah, Renee, my sister. Hey, Nene.
What's going on, Renee? Thanks for watching.
How about that? Cousin Ryan was on here too. He's everybody's cousin.
Hell yeah. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, I agree. Putting the phone in the cheese, unforgivable, especially when you're already in the wrong, Cameron. I mean, come on, you got busted. You're throwing phone in the cheese. And again, that's one of those little movements with dire consequences for the rest of the movie because no one can find Allison or call her.
It's a punch bowl. It's a punch bowl.
I know it's a punch bowl.
Hey, it's a punch bowl filled with cheese.
No, it's just a punch bowl.
It's way too thick to be any kind of juice.
I am telling you, I'm looking at it right now.
If that's like jungle juice.
Now, would you drink that jungle juice though? Would you grab a cup of that? That looks like nasty jungle juice to me. Something curdled in that, buddy.
Yeah, it's been sitting out for a while.
See, there's the cups. There's the ladles for you getting your. That is jungle juice, sir.
That is not
cheese. That is fucking cheese. That's very convenient for you to just go right by it. That is fucking cheese.
Go right by it. I'm playing the scene.
I love that this is how our channel is going to get taken down for DMCA.
Right there. See, look at that.
Clip.
That is the froth of the sherbet.
That shit is queso colored, bro. That is queso colored.
That phone stuck for about 3 seconds before it sank. So.
That is the froth of the sherbet ice cream mixture.
Whatever you say, that is Velveeta cheese.
No, you would have heard that slap sound. You just would have heard
there is cheese filling that phone's speakers. It will never work again. It is disgusting. And that's it. I think with that, we totally nailed everything.
With that, we have nailed Halloween 2018.
Beautiful. Fantastic. We nailed it. Shit, guys, thank you so much for coming on and talking about this movie with us. This was a really fun one. Real quick, for all the ghouls and goblins at home, Moose, where can people find you across the internet these days?
You can find me at Big Moose Haas on Twitter. That's about my only social media. Tomorrow night, I will be on the What the Show 1 year anniversary, which is also the Band-Aid. Yes, perfect. Matt, let's go, buddy. I'll be on with a certain holy brother, and we will probably be introducing a drinking game. It's awesome. That's a fun group. They do, this is the Band-Aid, right? So this is for Ben the Boss Bateman. Ben the Boss Bateman from the Schmoedown. And, listen, as somebody who has had back issues for a while, that poor guy is definitely suffering. So it's a good cause. Tune in. And certainly, hey, if anybody's new to this, if I brought anybody who's viewing on my behalf to this, tune into this show. These guys are a great group here. Connor and Taylor are great guys. Matt, first official time meeting you, man. You're a good dude, man. I hope we get much more interactions, buddy.
Yes.
But thank you guys so much for having me on, especially me not being a horror guy. This was actually fun. And you know what? I am going to go back and watch the entirety of the Halloween series. Like, this was fun.
Oh, man.
I watched this. I might avoid 3.
Watch 3.
Check out 3. You have to check out 3.
I tuned in live to this show with all of its titty sucking glory. So
watch 3.
But no, seriously, yeah, I will watch all of them. And thank you guys so much for having me on. you guys ever want to talk Ghostbusters, I would love to talk Ghostbusters on this podcast.
Oh yeah, book that. That was one of the episodes that was lost to our hiatus, and it broke my heart. So we will definitely have to get you in for. I can't wait to talk about Ghostbusters with you, dude, because I know you love those movies so intensely. Thanks for coming on. By the same token, I mean, the fact that this wasn't really your bag and you gave it a shot just to hang out, I mean, that's fucking awesome. And
it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, send me all your notes about Halloween as you watch these movies.
Yeah,
I want to know all your reactions.
Yeah, please watch the third one. I would love to see your reactions to the third one.
Okay, we'll schedule a Zoom call after I watch the third one.
Yeah, we'll do a personal session. Matt, my man, obviously, it feels a little redundant to ask where can people find you, but what's going on this channel these days? Is anything good?
Well, as I plugged earlier, we got my last night Soho review that dropped just last night. Earlier today, we had the French Dispatch review that dropped.
Oh,
that included me. But we had two things drop today that didn't include me, and that is none other than our Lightyear trailer reaction and our Cowboy Bebop live action show trailer reaction, both done by the personality himself, Chris Anthony Lopez. You can find all the cool stuff we got going on over here. Saber Reels Saturday. Nick and I are rearranging how we're doing Real Talk. Some more information on that soon.
Cool.
Monday, Spin from the Reel. Tuesday, I believe Real Sports is coming back. We had to go on a mini hiatus because Colin ended up with a big work project. And then, we got a lot going on.
This channel has a sports show too.
Yes.
So I'm in. If you ever need someone to talk sports.
Yes. But yeah, we do a lot of stuff over here.
I'd like to talk about the Cavs soon, so I'll have to come on soon.
Yes.
There you go. A lot of great stuff going on this channel. And
at midnight tonight, Nick Molbox Antlers review.
Oh, that's gonna be hilarious.
Oh my god, I cannot wait to see Antlers. I completely forgot that it's getting buried this month. Oh, I need to see that.
Everything that's Fox Searchlight is getting buried because you're releasing 2 Searchlight movies in the same day worldwide. That tells you all you need to know.
Bro, Ron's Gone Wrong. Brilliant.
Really?
I've heard great things about that movie.
I loved it.
I need to check it out.
I loved it. You're right. They're totally burying all these movies.
But we all know you're going to spend a night in Soho this weekend. It's fine. We know you both.
I'm seeing French Dispatch Sunday.
See one night in Soho instead. Trust me. When George Thomas comes in the chat and goes, last night in Soho, that should tell you what he thought about the movie.
It's a big cosign. That's true.
I'm a massive Edgar Wright fan too, so I've been.
Yeah, I love it.
I'm thrilled for that movie. And speaking of things going on in this channel, last but not least, we got to also mention it wouldn't be Really Scared. It wouldn't be Halloween if we didn't have an episode on Halloween night itself. So we'll be doing, of course, our Halloween Kills episode with none other than our good friend, special guest, and 1BR producer, Alok Mishra, returns to the show to talk about Halloween Kills. We'll also be doing what everybody's doing this month, and that is ranking the entire Halloween franchise. We're going to be putting it on the scale and seeing where all the different movies land for better or worse.
Hot takes.
Some hot, spicy hot takes. So that's October 31st, 8:30 p.m. as usual. That's going to simultaneously premiere on YouTube and our audio channels. Our official Halloween Kills episode, the perfect finale to our Halloween celebration.
Yeah, if you're having a Halloween party, Halloween night, throw it on in the background. Watch this. It'll be a terrifyingly good time.
Make all your friends listen. Considering we're coming up on Halloween, what is this group's Halloween outfit? What are you guys dressing up as this year?
Great question.
Taylor, start it off.
Well, I'm actually going to a Renaissance fair this weekend, and I am dressing as a pirate.
I'm going to a Halloween party Saturday, and I'm going with my fiance. I'm going to be Georgie, and she's going to be Pennywise.
Oh, shit. Nice.
My girlfriend and I are doing Indian Marion from Raiders of the Lost Ark in honor of the 40th anniversary.
Nice. Nice. God damn it, man. You might be my new best friend. So myself and my wife and 2 other friends are going to a party that takes their costumes very seriously. So the 4 of us are going as different Will Ferrell characters. My wife is Buddy the Elf.
You're semi-pro.
I am actually Harry Carey.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. You know, hey, the moon was made of cheese. Would you eat it? So my wife is Buddy the Elf. I'm Harry Carey. Our other friend is Ron Burgundy, and his wife is one of the Butabi brothers. So we got the four Ferals.
Beautiful. The four Ferals of the apocalypse. Great combo there.
I love that. That's amazing.
Beautiful. Well, hey, this has been an awesome episode. Don't forget as well, tomorrow, Shattered Diamond, Nick Mulbach's film, charity live stream over at WatchBeam,
yeah, right.
watchbeam.com, and they're going to be raising money for the Coat Foundation. Tickets are $4.99. Great cause, a great man, and a great film. Go hang out and do some good there. And of course, like Moose said, check out What the Show tomorrow. They do run a great operation over there, so that's going to be a lot of fun too. Thanks for tuning in tonight, folks. Again, Matt, Moose, thanks for joining us. It's been a lot of fun, and we'll see you next time. Stay spooky, and as always,
absolutely stay spooky.
It's not jungle juice, it's cheese.